You got problems that you ought to be concerned with. Moolah. You don't know how you're supposed to earn it, or what to do with it, or how to keep it. You're a freak with a dark, shameful secret. But you're not the only one. Get your hidden financial fears with a blast of sun. Now your healing has begun. It's Bad with Money with
Gabe S.
Done.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bad with Money, a show about finances and feelings where we don't talk down to you. I'm your host, Gabe S. Dunn, and this is a bonus bag where I'm going to talk about some stuff. So, one, I started a Substack. It's called 1,000 Natural Shocks. It's a reference to the Hamlet line, the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to, which just means the hard and stressful stuff of daily life that we all are living through, that our flesh is heir to. And I'm not a Shakespearean scholar in any way, but I read that line and it had always just stuck with me. And so when I was thinking about what it means to live in a capitalist hellscape, I kept thinking that it was 1,000 natural shocks. You can join it at 1000naturalshocks.substack.com. There's new essays published every Thursday at 9 a.m. I did an essay about why I was starting this Substack and my feelings around class division and being burnt out by capitalism. When you're listening to this, I'll have published my second essay, probably, maybe my third. But the second essay is about the recent detainment and deportation of American citizens and people who are here on legitimate visas. And also, it doesn't matter because you're just kicking people out of the country for no reason and no person is illegal. But it's about that and also the ways in which my childhood bullies gave me perspective on fighting fascism. There's a lot of other stuff in it, but that's basically what it's about. Future essays are about being a victim of a violent crime. There's also going to be one about if people should get paid for being the muses on things, as I have been amused many times in my life. All kinds of essays that are upcoming that I'm working on. And in the meantime, I want to talk about this show because I have been severely depressed for a while. And it was a not a great year for me, mental health wise. I think a lot of it did stem from money problems, from trying to get out from under just kind of living paycheck to paycheck situation. And as of this recording, I'm moving out of my apartment to an apartment that is $1,000 less. It's also much smaller, but I don't really mind smaller apartments. I actually prefer it. And there's a little outdoor area for Beanie, which he doesn't have now. So it is a distinct positive. But my day job, which does not pay me enough, that I took because I was drowning, it's a lot of hours. It's maybe too many hours. I'm going to start looking for a job near where I live. I've also been writing more for different publications. Also, the response to the Substack has been amazing. I have like almost 900 followers, like right off the bat, which is great. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you can go over and you will get all the essays on Patreon and on Substack for the first month. And then in May, you can have free access to the paid essays for that month for as a token of my appreciation. So because of a lot of factors, those included, I have felt extremely disconnected from even some of the advice on this show and completely disconnected from all of the advice that I had been hearing, even sort of people that are giving money advice in a particular way, budgeting or things like that. I don't feel that they're taking into account the reality of people's lives and what it takes to get into a certain amount of debt or the motivation to care about like your future. I think even myself at certain points in my life did not have any clue what I was fucking talking about. I think that I've become really aware of how things are so different now, and that not just the economy crashing, because, you know, I've seen people say you have to have stocks to care about that, but watching prices go up for things, particularly post tariffs in the store that I work in, I just feel increasingly bitter and frustrated with the ways in which poverty is violence. And it is impossible to get out on top or even survive the way things are now. And I was sort of complacent, I think, for a little bit. And now I'm sort of coming out of this depression and I'm fucking furious. And if you want to understand how someone could accidentally spend $1,000 in a day by accident, I don't even want to say spend. It's not by accident, but like, okay, so I start work at 10. I wake up at 7:30. I walk to my doctor's appointment because I don't have a car. And that is for financial reasons in some ways. And also because of the attack that happened in my car in November. So I just have had a lot of mental illness around driving. So that happened randomly. I didn't, like, a guy attacked my car while I was in it. And that caused $852 worth of damage. So there's that. But that was in November, right? I applied to the California Victims of Violent Crime Bureau Fund. I got denied, mostly because the police will not release the police report. Like, it's just been such a hassle to get it. And I keep calling, and it seems like you can only get it if you ask for it by mail, but then it could take as long as they want for it to come in the mail. And then I've gone in and they've told me that they can't give me the police report any other way. Okay. I'm sure they can, but it's like, do I have the time to keep going there and like talking to the police? So anyway, I got denied for that fund. Then because I have this job, the EBT got cut off. Fine. So I get up at 7:30. I do all my business. I walk to the doctor's office, which I have chosen this doctor because I can walk there. That takes 25 minutes. I get there for the 8 a.m. appointment. I go in. They tell me that I have nerve damage on my myelin sheath and that it's not actually from overuse. That's a myth. That the carpal tunnel is actually damaged from genetics or from just my body, she said. It's not. Repetitive motions can exacerbate it, but it's not what causes it. Like, I already was predisposed. It's in both my hands, by the way, and my wrists, which are in pain and numb. Makes it hard for me to open stuff, hold things. So I go, $95 copay with insurance. Fine. She looks at me. She gives me the assessment from the nerve test I had done where I had to take off work on another day. And so she says, well, this is good news, but one of the things we can do to help you right now is we can give you an injection, a steroid injection in your wrist right now. I'm like, great. What is that going to run me? She's like, oh, I don't know. It shouldn't cost anything, but let me go get the billing department. She goes to get the billing department. The billing department comes back. The woman comes in and she says, it's going to be $136 per wrist. And the injection lasts like a few months, but I'm sort of dealing with moving and some other stuff. And so I weigh if I can really spend that right now. I decide I'm going to think about it and come back. There's all these ways that I can apply for financial assistance or do a payment plan, but I just start shutting down because it's just like the hours of your day that are spent trying to think about saving money or trying to think about what you're budgeting and what costs what and everything like that, and doing this paperwork and finding out the resources and figuring out, right? That's a second job. That's a whole other job. So I go to this job where I'm on my feet and talking to people and on for 8 hours. I get home and then I'm doing this second job of trying to like, there's no resting. And on the days off and my days off, I do this podcast and JBU podcast, which I love doing. I'm not upset about it, but there's that. So I leave because I'm like, I don't know if I can spend this money. But let's say I had spent the money because I was in pain, and I still am in pain. She also said it replicates the effects of surgery. So it would be better. It would be not just doing it to relieve the pain, but also to see if surgery will do anything.
Very recently, I used Indeed to get hired for a part-time job. The employer put their job listing up on Indeed. That's where I found it. I applied through Indeed and I got the job. Indeed made the hiring process so easy. I was able to search for all kinds of jobs based on my skills and being able to look at really easy to read descriptions from the jobs about what they were looking for in a candidate. If I needed to hire someone again, I would absolutely use Indeed. And I also have been telling everyone when they've been saying that they want to look for a job or they don't know where to find a job, I was like, you got to use Indeed. I've literally told like 4 people like, oh, I found this job on Indeed. That's where you should look if you're looking to find a job. And the job I was looking for, they needed someone really quickly because they were growing so fast. So they needed to hire the right person very fast, and it was so important. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. I sincerely love Indeed. I went on there. It was incredibly easy. I literally got hired in September for a job actually using Indeed. I know this is a podcast ad, but I mean it. I really did use Indeed. I really do recommend Indeed. It all happened so fast, and I didn't even have to really stress. I found what I wanted. I got the job. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there are no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? In the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. And if you're looking to hire, you need to use Indeed because you'll find people like me. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/badwithmoney. Just go to Indeed.com/badwithmoney right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/badwithmoney. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Here on this show, I have learned a lot of money lessons the hard way. Mostly, I've learned that I need to actually pay attention and look at what I'm doing, which is kind of the hardest part. I learned a lot of this later in life, as you know, and so all of it is pretty intimidating to me. And when I started this show in 2016, it really came down to financial literacy. And April is Financial Literacy Month. So today's episode is sponsored by Acorns. Since there is a whole month reminding you to finally take control of your money, the good news is you don't need all 30 days. Acorns makes it easy to start saving and investing for your future in just 5 minutes. You don't need to be an expert. Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that matches you and your money goals. You don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you get started with the spare money you've got right now, even if all you've got is spare change. Truly getting started investing in the easiest ways that you can, like getting on the right track and not having to think through what exactly you're investing in. Like, these funds are pretty straightforward. So if you can get involved in doing that with Acorns, you should. And I know it's a scary time for investing, but you know, one of my guests did just say, sometimes it's good to look at it as a sale. So think about it that way if you want to invest. I'm starting to think of it as maybe the investments are on sale right now, and this is when we get in. Sign up now and join the over 14 million all-time customers who have already saved and invested over $25 billion with Acorns. Head to acorns.com/badmoney or download the Acorns app to get started. Paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/badmoney.
So I rush, I take the bus, I get on the bus, $1.75, not bad. It ends up stopping like 3/4 of the way to my work. I don't know why, and I don't have time to figure it out. So I end up walking a little bit, and then I take an Uber for like 5 minutes, get to work, basically right on time, clock in, work the whole day. So that's 10. I get there at 10 to, oh, no. I actually have overtime because there's not enough coverage at my job. So I work 10 to 8:30. I close. I get home at 9:15-ish, taking an Uber because it's night. And also I haven't really figured out the bus at night that way. And then my dog has been at home. So luckily I text my neighbor and she's able to come and hang out with him and take him out and stuff like that. Just because sometimes she can. And today she happens to be able to. I normally take him to work with me, but while I'm navigating the bus, I don't want to have him in his little papoose. So I'm figuring that out in order to take the bus places and not have to pay for car insurance or to pay for a car payment or anything like that, repairs, anything that happens, blah, blah, blah. So I get to work. We do all this stuff. I have my lunch packed, everything. I get home at 9. I'm still packing my apartment, so I have to start doing that. I also have to make food with whatever I've got. Luckily, I had some stuff. Start packing up other stuff in boxes. I also want to finish writing because I have an offer / like inquiry from a press, a trans press in the UK that wants to read my novel that I've been working on for like 5 years that I think is finally ready for people to look at. So I've been putting the finishing touches on that at lunch at my job, and also like anytime I can get a chance to do it, even like on my phone on Google Docs. So I'm almost done with that, but not as done as I'd like to be. Then I listen to JBU, I give notes, I do other stuff, I respond to emails. I futz with like finishing touches on a few of my Substack articles that I have going up, but I'll probably mess with them even more. I write down and think of ideas for them because that's becoming a really good source of income. Like Patreon and Substack are becoming, that's like the biggest help you could do me, is that those are doing well, which is amazing. And hopefully I can make those like a big part of my income and then I don't have to work as much. I don't know. I'm figuring it out. But let's say that's $500, right? On the high end. That's like 3 days of work, 2 days of work. So there's that in the trash can. Then I get a message from Bank of America saying that they tried to pull money from one of my accounts to pay a credit card, even though the credit card is like, I don't know, not even like $200 or something. Like I would have paid that off at a different time. I don't have a ton of debt, which is a blessing. Like not even debt. I have like 2 credit cards that have maybe a little bit on them that I'm not interested in having. So I want to pay those off. I still owe Allison because she paid my electric bill one time. And this is all infuriating because I'll see these articles and stuff or TikToks that are like, just meal prep everything and just go shopping for these deals and just get clothes from wherever and hem your own clothes and make your own clothes. And, you know, I have my work shirts. I have to wash them. A lot of my clothes I've gotten from friends of mine and some from my aunt and uncle, my uncle who passed away. But it's like, okay, when do you guys have like thrifting and hemming and like healthy grocery shopping time? Exactly. When is that? When I get home at work, when I get home and it's 10 p.m. and so not even that, not even the lack of hours, but like the violence of not being able to get what I need for my healthcare. And then also I'm like dealing with, is it worth it to continue to pay for therapy, which is kind of expensive. I also was like suicidal a while ago. And so I went up on my meds when that meant I had to see my psychiatrist twice in a month, which was an exorbitant amount of money. And then I hear people just be like, oh, build like an emergency fund, like build an emergency fund for these instances. Then it won't be so, you have to build in for these problems. There are problems that you will never predict and you will never understand what it's like. I can't relate to the people I used to relate to. I can't relate to people that I know are just, I don't know, even I can't relate to me from the past, let's even say. There was a period of time where I did live like this. Then I started getting some money. Then, as you know, I bought a house with someone and that didn't go well. And then, but I can't really talk about it because I have an NDA that I had to sign to get the money. Then, and if you notice, there are episodes of this podcast missing. That's why. And so then I had to build that back up from scratch. And I had nothing again. I just I'm weighing options. Like, do I have to, I'm so lucky that my parents moved a couple hours away. I would be away from all my friends and I would have to quit my job, but I could live there, My dad was saying it might be really hard on my mental health to suddenly leave everything I know and quit my job. I guess it would save money. So that's that's really lucky. Like that is considered so, so lucky. And I'm grateful for it. And I'm grappling with, I know this is not like, this is like how I used to think and be in the past, this like fear. I had gotten away from it, I thought, and like grown and like built this emergency fund, like made this investment in the house, like figured out stuff. And then it was all kind of contingent. I made a lot of mistakes and thought that I was making steps towards stability. And then that happened and I'm starting over. But it is very hard to sit and have the time or the inclination to get out of the way of the resentment that there are so many people in this country that have to do these things. Like the amount of time it takes up to be poor, the amount of time it takes up to be, I don't want to say broke because people use broke in a way that doesn't really mean anything. Like I've had friends who were writers as well, similar to me, who like need an extra job. And I'm like, well, come work with me at this pet store that I work at. And they'll be like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Or, oh, it's a little far or blah. And then I'm like, okay, then you don't need a job. You're telling me you need a job. You're going under. Everything is bad. Okay. Well, I'm giving you, here's the thing. You could probably work here. And like, yeah, it's annoying, but it's inconvenient, but like you would be getting a paycheck. No. And also the other thing is the idea of unskilled labor, of them being like, well, I could just get a job at a brewery. I could just get a job as a waiter. Like, oh, if I need to, if I can get a job as a salesperson. Explain to me how to use a POS. Explain to me how to take an order and how to give that order to the kitchen. Like the level of just like they will never understand. They will never. And I'm not saying, I am so grateful in some ways for the experience of being someone in finance who does understand and who gets to talk to you guys from a place of like actual reality to the fucking capitalist hellscape we're in. And so in some ways, I am grateful that the complacency that I felt will not really be in this content. But I also, like, I'm coming out of this depression and I'm so fucking mad. And I'm mad that I have to think about these things. I'm mad at how easy it is to have problems and how, like, anyway, the thing with Bank of America, sorry, I went on a tangent, was that they had accidentally taken $300, but they were putting it back. But for them, like, I have to wait for the $300. Like that just happened. And then I had to call on my lunch break when I was supposed to be working on my writing and figure out what happened. And they were like, oh, oops, it was we took money from a closed account, but we can now to pay the card, but now we can take the money from the right account because you called. But that $300 is still there. It's just like did I think about that? And then if I had gotten the injections and I had this random charge from Bank of America and the bus didn't go the way that I thought it should go, like it was only halfway. Let's say that's $700 in a day. I didn't buy anything. Like, oh no, because I had to pay the $100 copay. You know what I mean? Like imagine if I had kids. Like it's so easy and it's so, again, I just say violent to have, like, I think about money and what I'm doing with it from dawn till dusk. And that's not fair for us. That's not fair for people. Not to say that's not fair, but like, I cannot speak to people who are telling me to just get a job or save money when they have no fucking idea what can happen day to day. And I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of it. I'm probably going to be talking more about it because of my Substack. And I'm almost tempted to read you the essay, the second essay that I did. Let me see, actually. I know it's so annoying when someone's like, oh, let me read my essay to you. Like, I get it. I'll read a little bit of this. because this is the explanation of the Substack. So it starts with me talking about my bipolar disorder, making it hard for me to trust my own judgment, how the essay, The 1,000 Natural Shocks That Flesh is Heir to, was 9 pages, 3,500 words. And it was, a brain dump about hating capitalism and my own suicidal ideation. And I was like, wow, sounds real gripping, Gabe. But everyone really related to it. And we're not all similar, right? Like I come from a place where I'm very visible online. Not everyone is. But the middle part of the essay, which is about my financial situation, goes, in 2024, I started having financial problems again, post-breakup / losing my house / writer's strike, etc., and took a minimum wage day job that I am so lucky to have. I publicly transitioned and opened myself up to right-wing bullshit. Then I was attacked in my car in broad daylight by a stranger wielding a glass breaker. Then my hands stopped working and I'm now in a medical pickle trying to navigate appointments and chronic pain. I thought all of this would be boring to people who had previously always supported me and wanted to follow my life for some reason. I was supposed to be aspirational. I was supposed to post partying with friends and cool outfits and red carpets. Even though I'd spent 9 years doing a show called Bad with Money about how this stuff was not the individual's fault, I was like, I suck and this is my fault and I am an embarrassment. I've also become absolutely fed up with all the financial advice I see online, even my own from the past. Even the bare bones budgeting people, I wonder if they have any fucking clue what it's like to be actually poor and or broke. Just get a second job. Okay, where? How? Do I need a car? What will gas cost? What are my hours? Does it jive with my chronic pain? Will I ever see my loved ones or have the energy to date or have a social life? Cook your own food, make your own coffee, buy thrift store clothes and hem them. When? You people have cooking and thrifting and sewing time? Don't spend on anything you don't need. Okay, so while billionaires exist, I should never leave my house and eat whatever they have at the food bank, which, by the way, is sometimes just bushels of tomatoes and potatoes you have to sort through to find the not rotten ones. Has this person ever needed a food bank? I'm guessing not. And this is sort of what I was talking about earlier. How do people get into so much credit card debt? Well, let's say you work at 7 a.m. at a job where you're standing all day. You're getting yelled at by customers, you're lifting things. Then you get off at 4 and drive home. With traffic, that's an hour or more. But you're lucky to have this job. And plus, you're working so much, it's a bit impossible to find a job closer or elsewhere. You bang your hand at work, and you should really get it looked at, but the doctor's office can see you in a month. Urgent care is going to take a whole day off work. And after that, they'd have to refer you to a specialist who can also only see you in a month. So that's 2 months. You have to make sure you have those days off work and also factor that into your paycheck. So your paycheck will probably be less. In the meantime, you go to CVS, buy some splints and painkillers. That's money. You call out of work a couple times and your manager sits you down and says they're giving you a strike for doing so because you called out on a day you'd actually switch shifts with someone and you're not allowed to do that. On your drive to work, you realize you forgot to get gas the night before and your car rolls to a stop on the side of the highway. Fuck. So you have to throw on your hazards and walk to the gas station, buy a $40 gas can, fill it with $10 worth of gas, and walk back to the car while your hands are in pain. You fill the tank and have to speed off not to be late to work. You're opening, and if you're late, it affects everyone's time card. You park on the street and get so busy filling an order, you don't hear your alarm go off to move your car. You come back and have a $73 parking ticket. You get home and your dad has fallen at his house and is in the hospital. You open your mail and there's been a problem with the taxes you filed the year before, and you probably owe money, but you don't even have time to sit and look at it, so it goes in the mail pile. These are the examples of the natural shocks. When I hear people giving money advice who have never held a mop or worried about having legit no money, like having no spending money with an emergency savings, I'm talking $0. I'm like, you people don't live in the real world. So here I will be on Substack. There's a chat function, comments, a Twitter feed thing. The podcast will be there, and more writing from an angry former honor student millennial with nerve damage and a dream. And so I hope that entices you. Thank you guys so much. The support for my essays has meant a lot and helped me really get back into writing. The people who have subscribed for paid subscriptions, I love you so much. This has been, it will change my income. It will make a big difference. So thank you so much. Yeah, love you guys. Sorry for this rant, but I kind of am just really fucking over it. And this was a place for that. So it's back to being a place for that. Okay, love you. Bye.
Bad with Money with Gabriel S. Dunn is a production of Noted Bisexual, produced by Melisa D. Monts and Diamond MPrint Productions. Edited by Diane and Kang, post-production sound by Coco Llorens, production assistance by Melanie D. Watson, and music by Mike Kaplan, Zach Sherwin, and Jack Dolgen, sung by Sam Barbera. Thank you, love you, bye!